Hi you guys, welcome back to the channel. I know I've been missing in action for quite a while, but for the past month I've been battling spider mite infestation on my plants. It came very fast and swiftly and took over of pretty much a very big bulk of my plants. I sort of figured out who was the culprit, and that plant, well, let me show you. So yes, I was quite surprised that my Alocasia poly did not get affected at all, but most of my other stuff has been in one way or another. My Calathea rattlesnake, dead, gone, no longer existent, which I was very, very sad about. And it was living right next to the Maranta. It was just the combination of the leaves were such a beautiful combination, and that did kind of put a damper on my mood there for a while. But yeah, so I'll make another video and I'll show you the update of the plants that I have salvaged and some of the plants that did not survive. Sadly, but that's okay. Things happen, you know, it happens to everybody who owns plants. So I am not gonna be that upset. I just cannot, I keep checking all of these leaves for pests now. This is kind of my obsession. It's my new acquired OCD, if you want to call it. Every single time I go past the plant, I always flip everything around and look right in between. So I was able to salvage couple of vines of this one because I really love it, and especially when it comes to my velvety leaf plants. Yes, I love them. Who doesn't? So hopefully this little guy is gonna give me some roots. I just have him in a mason jar for now, and yeah, we'll see how this guy does. It did perk up because all the leaves were curled up like this one. This is the only one that's left that is curled up right here, and I keep uncurling it to see if there's anything lives in there or not. But all the other ones kind of perked up, which I'm very happy about, which means this plant has a lot of life left in it still, which makes me very happy because, I mean, how can you not love this guy? So yes. I guess for anybody who doesn't know me, my name is Zhenya, and welcome to the channel Plants and Vlogs, where there's everything about everything, and of course about plants, a little bit of everything. But today's video is going to be about prop boxes. Since it's spring, stuff is growing like crazy. At least it started to. As you can see behind me, I already chopped up some of my Hoyas. I have over here my Adansonii, which the cat actually knocked over a little vine, and I just kind of wanted to propagate it, plus some other some other little bits and pieces. I do want to save my Monstera Peru. That was another victim of the infestation. Let me show you what's left of it, which I'm super sad about. And this guy does not look that hot, although it is looking much better. This leaf was completely curled up, but it's kind of open now. And this one we're still working on. There's no pests on it. I got them all cleared out and disinfected. So I think the plant is in shock currently. And I just put it on my north window, which is behind me. And I know it doesn't get a lot of light, but it gets, you know, a decent amount because we are located right now in Florida, and it doesn't matter pretty much where you put your plants, you get a lot of light everywhere, even on the north windows. So this seems to be liking this spot. As soon as I moved it to the north window, this leaf opened up. So this gives me hope. So I'm just gonna put it down here. But I did have to cut off the vine over here, and I want to propagate it as well because I do want to save this plant just in case this guy goes south. All right, so the prop boxes that I'm going to be doing is my usual type prop boxes that I usually do, and I use sphagnum moss for them. And let me just get my little mats situated, and we'll go from there, and I'll show you the process of how I do it. It's super easy, and I do reuse the sphagnum moss. I know I did try to do a prop box with perlite, only perlite, but it did not seem to be working. It kind of got moldy and green all over, and it was just, something went wrong over there. So we're just gonna stick to what we know and what I usually do, and I'll show you pretty much the process. So you guys can, if any of you want to propagate plants, it's super easy. It takes a little bit of time. It does take a couple weeks for the roots to start showing up, and a month or two, depending on the plant that you're trying to propagate or save or multiply, to actually get established roots. But it's super easy and it's totally worth it. And you can reuse it, the sphagnum moss, all over. I just dry it up, disinfect it, and reuse it again. I've never had problem with this. And I don't buy any special sphagnum moss. I know some people like to have their favorite brand, and that's completely fine. I just use whatever I have on hand. And this bag is actually the moss that already has been used, boiled, disinfected, and dried up, like very, very super duper dried up. And I left one of the bags that it came in, and I just keep putting it back. So I've been reusing this bag for quite a while now, and I've never had any problems. And I cannot, this particular bag is from Mother Lee, but the stuff that's inside is a mixture of the moss from like 5 or 6 different bags that I've bought, all different brands. So it doesn't, for me, it doesn't seem like there's a much difference from one over the other. The only difference I would say is not even the quality, the size of the pieces that they put in. Some of them, they have more stems than the other, and those we'll just take them out. But some of the strands of the moss in some brands are longer, and in some brands they have them shorter. So this is just your preference. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna need a couple of containers, and these little shoe bins, I got them at a dollar store, a buck each. I have a few, actually I have quite a bit of them because I love these things. You can use them, they're very versatile. And I'm gonna make 2 prop boxes today, but I'll show you just how to do one. And of course, you do need a lid. Now, another preference, which is personal preference, if you guys want, you can put little holes in here for air circulation, especially if you have many of the boxes, and it's just going to be a little, an extra step, but it's going to make it easier in the end for the air circulation. If other than that, you just have to open the lid every so often, every few days, once a week, depending on the size of the box, just to let kind of air circulate through. Yes, you can use either a nail and a hammer to put holes in the lid, or you can use a drill. Just put masking tape before you drill, just so you don't crack the whole lid. And I just keep them, solid with no holes, because I do like to open up the boxes and look at them, because I'm not that patient when it comes to rooting process. Even my water propagations, which I absolutely love, and that's my favorite way to propagate. It kind of always has been. I think it's the easiest way. Some plants take longer in water. Even then, I always come over every single day and I see if there's any roots or buds are on the plant. So yes, so I don't put holes into my lids. I just keep them as it is. So what we're gonna need is an empty container. Note on the container really quick. When you're doing prop boxes, it's very important for the box itself to be clear, or as clear as you can get it, so the plants can get a lot of light. We're pretty much creating a kind of upside down greenhouse. Usually, you put the lid on top. It's gonna be crazy high humidity in these things, and they do need light for the photosynthesis, so they have energy to push out the new roots and new foliage. So the boxes preferably need to be very clear. Or if you have a opaque or a dark container, you can use saran wrap just to cover the top, so the plant and the medium gets enough light. We'll put this aside. We do need to do a couple of steps before we get started, and we'll be ready for those. First things first, you need cuttings of the plants that you want to propagate. Here I have Adansonii, Monstera adansonii. that my cat knocked over. And one important thing, you have to make sure that the cutting that you're going to propagate has air roots or nodes, okay? Let me show you. So this is an aerial root right here. Let me see. This is an aerial root. This is an aerial root. But this, where the leaves come up, this is a node, okay? Where the leaf comes up, this is a node. And usually you will see a lot of plants, they just kind of chopped up like this. So you have a little kind of T-joint intersection, one leaf, and on both sides it cut up. So it has a place where the little nodes are, where the leaf connects to the stem. That's where the roots are gonna pop off. So you have to make sure that your cutting has a couple of these. And this, you need shears, of course. You're gonna need your sphagnum moss. So we have a little tub of water. We have your sphagnum moss. We have a prop boxes. You do need shears. I did have these already sterilized. Okay, so what you wanna do is you wanna take your sphagnum moss. As you can see, this has bits and pieces, which we're gonna take out a little bit later. And what we're gonna do is we're just gonna put it into this water bin. And so since we're making 2 of them, I'm gonna get another handful, because I want at least an inch of moss at the bottom of my bin so the roots have somewhere to go. And we're just gonna rehydrate this moss, and it's gonna soak up all the water. And as you can see, it gets darker in color when it gets wet. While it's doing that, we're gonna get everything else ready. You guys can probably hear my cat, that's Casper. He always helps. So the next thing I want to do while the moss is getting ready is to get the cuttings ready. I already showed you Monstera adansonii. I'm just going to snip this over here and see if this piece grows. And as you can see, I'm going to cut right above this leaf as well. So I have a leaf and I have aerial root right there and a node. And this guy, it already has a node right here. Of course, I have one cutting of Monstera Peru that's been affected by spider mites. It's a decent sized leaf. It's not as plump as I want it to be, but it has nodes, a node and 2 aerial roots that are starting to pop up. So we're going to put this in the box. I also have another little snippet of Philodendron Brazil, also a victim of my cat. This one has 1, 2, 3 nodes that I can see, and I'm just going to separate them. These are very delicate compared to pothos. Those are super easy to propagate, and they have a big stocky kind of stems. These guys, the philodendrons, they are very fragile. They're very, very, I don't know. I always think of them as aristocratic plants. So we're just gonna do a couple of, little T nodes like that. So we're gonna have 3 pieces of Philodendron Brazil. Then I also have, this was a funny story. I have a Hoya bilobata over there, hanging in the hanging pot with these long little tendrils, and there was a lizard on the other side of the window. This was the same time as my Philodendron Brazil got snipped. And of course, Casper had to go and jump on the window and claw at the bilobata. So my bilobata Billy Hoya is gonna be propagated as well, and I have 2 strands of this. Now on the Hoya, on this particular Hoya, where the leaves are, that's where the aerial roots are as well. Let me see if I can get a little bit closer. So you see these little roots right here? That's where the leaves are. So in this little thing, I can potentially have 7 little cuttings of bilobata, Hoya bilobata. As you can see right here, this guy's also missing a little limb. This is a Hoya carnosa Crimson Queen. I love this gal because it just started its growing cycle, and although it has been growing since we're in Florida and the temperatures are a little bit different than the rest of the country, it's always warm, so these guys just don't even slow down. And it's been producing lots of pink leaves, which I absolutely love. So I'm gonna do a few cuttings of this as well. I'm gonna make them a little bit bigger, I think. So we have enough of cuttings now to fill up 2 prop boxes. By this time, the sphagnum moss has absorbed the water. It's been about 10-15 minutes and it got really dark in color. So the trick with this is you want it moist, but you don't want it overly wet. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take one of the prop boxes right here and we're gonna just do handfuls at a time, and we're just going to squeeze out extra water. So it's still wet, but it's not dripping. And we're just going to spread it at the bottom, and you want about 1 inch. This is what's gonna look like inside the box before the moss, or before the cuttings. So this one we're gonna do with Hoyas, okay? So what we wanna do is we're gonna make a little hole and we're gonna place it in there, kind of snug it into the box, into the moss. We're gonna leave some space between the plants, but not necessarily. This box can hold a lot of plants. They're gonna be happy because they're gonna have enough room to grow kind of on their own. And we'll do a princess over here. The box is gonna look like this when you're done. That's pretty much it. This is fairly wet, so I'm not going to do anything else to this. What I am going to do is I'm just going to put the lid on top, and yeah, this one's ready. There we go. And here's the other one. And we'll do an update and I will show you the progress. And of course my battery has died, which is okay. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Follow me on Instagram and I will see you in the next video.